All right, this is Game Week build review for build 0.2025.02. Pew, pew, pew. Let's check it out. Okay. Okay, so that was just a super quick demo, and let's just go ahead and talk about what's happening there real quick. So a bunch of stuff changed. The first being that we got controller inputs. So kind of like got this controller here that I'm using. So controller inputs, bullets, infinite screen looping, ability to quit the game, a pew pew sound, background music, a Steam library entry, which I didn't demo here, full screen, which I didn't demo here because making this whole thing full screen doesn't show as well on screen right now. But on the Steam Deck, it's awesome. And then bullet count debugging. If you notice in the game, got bullet count going here, and when I shoot, it gives me a count of how many bullets, and what happens is when a bullet goes off screen, it deletes them, so that way I'm not like overdoing memory. And obviously I've got infinite sort of screen movement here, so kind of do that. And then the quit button, and then I also have a shortcut key on the controller to quit as well. So that was the build for Pew Pew Pew, this week's build. And, you know, it's a movable red circle shooter that shoots little bullets. The artwork itself came from Dragon Ruby, nothing crazy there. The music was actually a song that I made for Virtual Championship Wrestling, video on my YouTube channel for that. And then the pew 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 sound I got from, I think it's Open Game Art, so you can check that out. I think it's under pew 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 or something like that. It is free. So you know, that's kind of how content sort of started getting into the game. I ended up making controller controls specifically because, again, making this play on the Steam Deck and having it feel good. It actually feels really nice on the Steam Deck. Other things that kind of showed up here, the infinite screen looping, that is really just so that it's like you don't have a character go off screen, you know, the thing that's moving around actually sort of cycles through the screen infinitely. I think Asteroids did that sort of famously first, so I didn't invent that by any means. I mentioned the bullet count debugging. That makes it nice so that like I'm not overusing all the memory or anything like that. That's just like good programming practice. Other things I didn't demo here, but a Steam library entry. So I actually made it on my Steam Deck where it actually integrates with the Steam launcher itself, which is cool. So then I can just go straight into the Steam launcher and do that. In terms of process, I figured out, based on the Dragon Ruby documentation, a really nice way for actually pushing the builds to the Steam Deck really fast using Linux's scp command. You can look at the Dragon Ruby docs for that. It's really sweet. That makes pushing builds to my device really fast. So yeah, that's kind of like how, you know, sort of the new stuff. The ideas that sort of came out with this. So I have this game idea I'm calling Everything Must Blow. It's a pun on Everything Must Go. It's a concept that's a little bit of like Vampire Survivors meets Blast Corps. For those of you that remember Blast Corps, Blast Corps was a game where you went around and you just like blew up all the buildings, and that was kind of the point. You were trying to stop like a nuke from going boom, but really it was just like smash buildings. It was an N64 game by Rare. I thought it was fun, but some of the controls were a little bit jank. Very early 3D game concept. And then Vampire Survivors is obviously you run around and stuff gets shot. So I'm kind of thinking like 2D overhead shooter thing where you're just trying to blow up everything else as opposed to just like hordes of zombies trying to kill you. So that might be fun. I have some graphics that I was able to get off of itch.io that I'm thinking about using. And so that might show up in like a future iteration, maybe next week, maybe later. I'm not sure. I need to figure out how to like blow stuff up, like blow up a building or blow up a tank. So I need a guy that shoots things, which we kind of already have, but then the bullets need to hit stuff and go boom. And I kind of need to decide if the bullets are like controlled by the player, something like a Contra sort of feeling, or if it's more like Vampire Survivors where you just run around and the weapons sort of do their own thing. So things to think about. I'm not sure yet. In terms of vibe, it does feel more like a game. In terms of like you have graphics, you have interaction, you have sound working together, and it feels like the start of a very like proto basic shooter game, right? Like you could get to something like Geometry Wars from here. So a pretty big step forward in vibe. If I had multiple monster types, if I had like a score, we'd probably be looking at Geometry Wars. So I would say fun improvement, 3 stars. It's certainly a lot more fun being able to actually like move around and shoot stuff. I found in building it that having sound and having music makes a big difference in the gameplay experience, at least for it feeling like a game. Now, for testing and debugging, I might turn those stuff off or I might turn the volume way down. But in terms of just getting from like, you know, the Hello World build from last week to this thing booting up on a Steam Deck, feeling like a Steam game and actually doing stuff and feeling a bit like a game, that's very cool. That's a big step forward in my opinion. So yay. I'm happy with this week's build. I'm happy with how the process is going so far. So yeah, that's this week's Game Week build review for build 0.2025.02.